Welcome to Bruce Hurwitz Presents Meet the Experts. I'm your host, Bruce Hurwitz of Hurwitz Strategic Staffing. I hope you will consider us for all your staffing, career counseling, and speech writing needs. You can find us on the web at hsstaffing.com. I'm delighted to be joined today by Milton, Washington. Our topic is changing the lives of people in pain while changing culture. Meet the Experts is sponsored by P&K CPAs. P&K is a full-service accounting firm. They provide accounting and consulting services to businesses ranging from startups to small and mid-cap companies to nonprofits as well as high-net-worth individuals. Contact them today for a free consultation at pk-cpas.com or call them at 973-882-8810. They will be happy to be of service. Milton, welcome to the show.
Hey, Bruce, how are you? Thanks for having me.
I am fine, thank you. Please take a moment or two and introduce yourself to our viewers.
Well, my name is Milton, Washington. I am a resident here of Harlem. And I have been here for the past 14 years or so, about 18 years in New York overall. I am Black and Korean, originally from South Korea, and adopted by the Washingtons when I was a kid at 8 years old and brought to the States, where I kind of learned English, where I started to go to school for the first time in my life and started to learn kind of American culture. And I've been having a good time ever since.
Okay.
Here in Harlem, I run a small visual development company called Slicky Boy Studios. We focus on photography, focus on brand strategy, sales and marketing strategies for small clients.
And today's topic has absolutely nothing at all to do with any of that.
I saved all the good stuff for the best stuff for the last.
All right.
Because I recently founded a fitness program called Rock Mill Fitness. Yes.
Okay. Tell us about Rock.
So Rock Mill Fitness is a home fitness system that it's different because it does it all. It gives you strength, it gives you flexibility, and cardio, as well as balance, and some other things that I think you would need to live an active lifestyle pain-free. Because what it ends up doing, it ends up taking away a lot of joint pain, because I had some severe knee pain that I had, and it as well as some back pain, and it just allows you, affords you kind of free range motion and flexibility, better than anything else that I've done as a kind of a person that lives an active lifestyle and someone who played college football. This is the best thing for my body since I was a kid. So we're in the process of getting ready to launch the business.
Now, what educational background do you have in fitness and healthcare?
So my educational background, I'd say it's almost kind of anecdotal, with the exception of me being a college football player, and being very in tune with my body. Being a college football player, but then also a person that's just lived a very, very active lifestyle over the years. I used to play, up until about 6 years ago, I used to play racquetball probably 4 or 5 times a week for 3 or 4 hours a session. Won a tournament over at the West Side Y, played ball at New York Health and Racket over on 56th Street, very competitive. But I've also lived a very active lifestyle, and I've always paid attention to kind of what's been going on with my body. And I've been able to kind of provide a lot of minor fixes throughout that time to my body. But I've also had 4 knee surgeries. I'm not a doctor, but I kind of consider myself an expert on the knees because of all the doctor interface time that I've had. But I also, I have close friends who are physical therapists, who are trainers, who are doctors, and the human body is just a thing that I've always naturally gravitated towards, because I've also felt that I've been able to control a lot of my active lifestyle through my understanding of my body and as well as others. So to shortly answer your question, I'm not a trained expert in this area, but I'm a trained expert in this area through living life and paying attention.
Okay, but you don't have any formal education in this field.
That's correct.
All right. Now, you mentioned that you have friends who are trainers, and as I'm sure you're aware, anyone in New York State who's involved in healthcare needs to have a license.
Yeah, already, that's a work in process already.
Okay, and certifications.
That's a work in process.
Okay. So
yeah,
as of right now,
legalities of it now.
So as of right now, today, you have no formal education, no licenses, and no certifications.
Correct.
All right. Now, as I understand it from what you presented to me when you asked to come on the show, you've built something that you refer to as a stool, S-T-O-O-L.
Correct.
That's your piece of equipment. Now, is that patent pending?
Correct.
Okay. So we won't get into details of the specifics of it because it's patent pending. I understand that.
Sure.
But are you going to seek FDA approval for your piece of equipment?
FDA approval? I don't think so.
You don't need that. All right.
I don't think so. I don't think so. And let me just quickly kind of clarify for the audience. This is a home fitness system, right?
Okay.
It would compete with a Peloton, who has the bike. It would compete with Mirror, who has the interactive mirror application, a thing that you put on the wall, looks like a mirror, and then there's a virtual physical trainer who will guide you through movements. It's very similar to yoga, right?
Okay.
When you roll your yoga mat on the floor at home to follow along or to develop your own practice, this stool that we call the Rock is just a piece of equipment to really lean on and support you as you stretch, as you hold yourself up with your body weight and do some real simple movements that get your heart going and push the limits of range of motion.
Okay. So what I was thinking of when I read your submission was the infomercial that I see all the time. I think it's Dr. Ho, who has a belt that is supposed to solve back problems while you're wearing it. It's a piece of equipment, and it's FDA approved, and insurance companies pay for it. That's not what we're talking about here. This isn't something that you put on your body. This is something you put your body against.
It's a stool that you put your body against, and then when you finish working out, it turns back into a stool.
Okay. All right. So the old joke that people spend hundreds of dollars, if not thousands of dollars, for something to hang their clothes on, you're nodding in agreement because you wrote something that it's a nice piece of, you didn't use the word furniture, but since you call it a stool, I'll say furniture.
It's furniture,
that at the end of the day, you can hang your coat on.
Why not?
Why not?
It's we are of the demographic and of the age, and we remember the Bowflexes, the treadmills, things, the big pieces of equipment that you buy because you're motivated. You saw some infomercial, a friend told you they had one and it's changed their life, and you buy it, and because you're not in the rhythm and the habit of working out regularly, yeah, you end up putting your coat, your shirts, all sorts of things on it. It turns into a piece of furniture. So, you know, and that's part of the thing that I think is part of the genius of the whole system is, yeah, we're going to start off with a piece of furniture and make that thing something that ends up being integral to the progression of your health. Why not?
What does this, again, I don't want you to give up any trade secrets,
Sure.
but a stool is usually a platform with 4 legs and a back.
Sure.
And the stool does not move. It doesn't have any moving parts to it.
Sure.
How does your stool differ from the classic stool that I just described?
Number one, the aesthetics, right? Number one. And let me just show you something real quick, because I'm actually just sitting on it, because when you're done with it, it turns into a piece of furniture. So this is our stool here. This is what we call a rock. This is a hand-carved piece from the Balamaki tribe in Cameroon. Okay? It is used primarily for ceremonial purposes for royalty. All right? So it's a stool, but it's a decorative piece of art as well, right?
Okay.
So there's that. Then number two, what Rock Mill Fitness does, it kind of turns over on the head the notion that you need quote unquote workout equipment or dumbbells or anything of the like to get in a good exercise. We turn it over on its head because, and this kind of goes back to part of my story as being a Korean adoptee brought to the States and having to learn English and culture, etc. But I had a lot of challenges, and most of the answers to the problems that I had in my life were kind of right in front of me. I look around me in my immediate purview to find the answers that I need. Sometimes you can just kind of cobble together some things that you have right in front of you to achieve a particular goal. So when I had excruciating knee pain to the point in which my orthopedic said that you're going to need knee replacement, when I had vascular bypass surgery, a rare procedure that connected a vein and an artery because of a history of blood clots in my left leg, and the 5 that I got a year and a half ago. And as a result of that surgery and the result of the knee pain, I just said that I need to start doing something that's, number one, it's going to take away my knee pain. And I knew that was physical therapy. I knew that was the answer. But my physical therapist is kind of on the east side of town, and I'm on the west side of town, and it would take out 5 hours of my day. I just didn't want to do it. And I always found physical therapy quite boring, right? And then the other issue with the vascular bypass surgery and this rare procedure that I had, my idea was, I need to get all of those muscles that are in my legs and growing that are responsible for helping to pump blood. I need to make sure those muscles are activated. They are working optimally. So the answer was kind of in front of me because I had this African stool, and one day I kind of leaned on it and leveraged my body weight, and I did a lot of kind of lower body extremity movements. And I did it to music, and 20 minutes later, I was in a deep sweat, like I had been playing racquetball for a good hour and a half. And I kind of discovered that me leaning my body weight over the stool, over the rock, doing these movements, I noticed that it activated all of these stabilizing muscles that you have inside of you, oftentimes that haven't been used since you were a kid, because we as adults, we kind of focus on the large muscle groups, right? And I noticed that after really focusing on my legs, my quads, my hamstrings, my glutes, my IT band, my calves, my knee pain was gone. Just like when I strictly adhered to a physical therapy regimen, minus taking out the 5 hours of travel and the hour and a half of being there. And I was just like, well, this solves my problem. So I started to develop more movements, but I really started to develop those movements in and around that stool. And what I discovered was that not only does this stool does a really good job of holding up my body weight, which allows for me to have these movements that's focused on my core and focused on my lower extremities, but I'm able to hit all sorts of muscle groups that I didn't touch before. That's really responsible for me feeling really strong and stable and balanced. And I'm getting in a great cardio workout. So to me, it was just like check, 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 win, win, win with everything. Because I'm 50 years old now, and my objective now is to live a good, long life, and to make sure that within that long life, I ensure a certain amount of quality of life just by feeling strong, good, and for the most part, pain-free. So that's what's happened. And yeah, I happen to have lost 25 pounds, and I have the best abs that I've had since my college days playing football.
Okay. That's the first part. The second part of our topic deals with culture. Now, I may have this 100% wrong, and if I am wrong, you can correct me. I will not be offended in the least. It is my understanding that Korea is one of the most racist countries in the world, and that I am guessing now, I haven't asked you this, your father was probably an American, your biological father was probably an American GI. Your mother was obviously a Korean lady. And you were probably considered an outcast in Korean culture. So far you're nodding and not shutting off the computer, so I will continue. So if I recall correctly, you said that you were adopted and came to the States at the age of 8. So for 8 years growing up, you were an outcast. You were in a bigoted and racist society. And then you came here. So you said that part of the topic is changing culture, not only getting rid of pain, but changing culture. And you have gone from one extreme, and while there's obviously bigotry and racism in the United States, always has been, and sadly, amongst human beings, it exists everywhere, but it's not at the level that you had when you were growing up. So talk to us about what you mean by changing culture through using your African rock stool.
All right. You've done some good homework, and we're going to say you're right on everything that you just said. I think that lays a great foundation and background and context.
Thank you. I just want to make one slight correction. It wasn't homework. It's what happens when you have a PhD in international relations.
There you go.
There you go.
We are talking to the experts here. So yeah, very good summary. So to answer your question, it goes beyond what you just said. And it goes to the heart of something that I've known for quite some time, which is I'm a black man now, and I was a black kid then. Even though I didn't know any English at that time, I was a little black and Korean kid running around in South Korea, and I caught a lot of hate and hell for me being so different and black, right? And then after being adopted by my family, the Washingtons, and then getting brought to the States at the age of 10, and then me trying to figure out kind of the racial landscapes of America and figuring out exactly where I fit in and still having some level of rejection, even from the Black folks that I wanted to be so much like. It was a interesting journey. More on that later, right? But one of the things that I realized over the years during my time here in the States is I think Black folks have kind of a bad rap, right? And there are a lot of reasons for that. A lot of reasons for that, I think, both in the narrative and then the behavior of, folks, particularly in the hood. There's all kind of reasons for it. And the environment that we live in and the how this environment forges Black folks. I think that we have a bad rap. So, because I know so many Black folks that I think most of society doesn't understand and pay attention to, the kind of folks who are, great contributors of society, great citizens, great fathers, great mothers, great children, great uncles, and all that sort of stuff, in which, I feel these Black folks don't get kind of the limelight that the folks on TV get, and oftentimes those folks on TV are skew negative in terms of the narrative. So the way that it changes, the way that Rock Mill Fitness changes culture is this. Number one, let's go even beyond race. Number one, let's talk about pain. Physical pain, emotional pain, and any other kind of pain that many of us walk around these streets and with our days with. I'm a kid that was born in South Korea, rejected by all of Korea. My mother was a prostitute, so I got all sorts of hell. And then as a kid who is relinquished by his mother, the only person who I thought loved me at the time, and then get passed off to another family. There's pain inside of me that's just a function of those circumstances. But I told myself, like, I'm trying to be happy. I'm trying to live a full life. And part of that good, full life is not only dealing with my pain, but also helping other people deal with pain. And one of the first things that you have to do is you have to really, really look at that pain that you're dealing with straight up and be honest with it. You have to accept what happened. And many of us, those things that happen to us, they happen to us when we're very, very young. It's not our fault. It's not my fault that I was a Black kid born in South Korea and I grew up in a culture of sex. I didn't have anything to do with that, But now as an adult, and when I started to become an adult, I have to own that part of me. I'm saying even the tendencies that it instills in me, that I have to manage to not do bad things. I have to accept that. I have to accept that I am a product of that environment. And me accepting that allows me to walk this life with much, much lighter feet. And have an understanding of who and what I am as a function of the environment that I was raised in and born into. And that idea of addressing pain directly, I think, applies even for your physical pain. I had some serious knee pain. I've had some issues with circulation with these blood clots. I have to own that. I have to fully accept my current state of being as it pertains to circulation and joint pain. Because if I don't fully accept that, there's nothing that I can do that's actually going to efficiently make it better. And by the way, there's all sorts of other emotional pains that I still walk this earth with having, but I decide to look at it straight up and say, hey, those emotional pains, they're there, but now I'm going to manage it. I'm going to accept it and manage it. And one of the best ways that I discovered in terms of managing not only my pain, but my also stress with living a life here in New York is, first of all, go to the physical. Mind, body, spirit. Go to the body first. Start to get some gains in body and how I feel and how strong I feel, how durable I feel. And then that starts to permeate the mind and the spirit. So all that to answer your question about culture, by the way, this fitness system of Rockmill Fitness has at its centerpiece the rock, that stool. That's an African stool. And by the time that we're mass producing these things, you're going to have, as a customer, you're going to have an option to either buy the African stool, the Asian stool, or the Latin stool. But the culture part is to embrace aspects of our culture around the world. And I say our culture, particularly people of color, particularly. Because I feel like we've been downtrodden so much, we need something really good that we can hold on to, that we can build upon, and then we can start to show kind of how we are different and how we are ready to kind of fight this battle of life that I see that many of us have. So yeah, we're gonna have a lot of people of color doing this system, and a lot of the promotion of this system is people of color doing these movements that are almost kind of primal and simple and basic, but require a lot of effort. So that changing of the culture is what's going to be shown through the promotions of Rockmill Fitness, of so many people of color doing something so innovative and something so good for their bodies, and not only for their bodies, but also the community. And when you wrap up the music into this, some of the hip hop beats that we use, and some other genres of music that we use, we're gonna put a face out to the world of people of color doing something athletic and in a context that's just new and innovative, and it's going to get people of color and people who are not of color. It's gonna show a different face of Black folks in a way that is going to really change culture. I honestly believe that with all my heart.
And sadly, we're out of time, but before I let you go, two things. First, I want to advise all of our listeners, and I'm sure you will concur with this, that before starting any type of exercise program, you have to consult your physician.
Absolutely.
And before I let you go, I want to thank you, and I also want to give you an opportunity to tell our viewers how to get in touch.
Yeah, well, the easiest way to get in touch is my phone number right there, 917-709-3438, or Milton at Rockmill Fitness. By the way, Rockmill is spelled ROKMIL, and ROK stands for Republic of Korea, and obviously Mill stands for Milton or Milton. So feel free to get in touch. Right now, we're doing sessions. I'm still in the testing phases. We do sessions 4 times a week here in Harlem, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sundays. You can get in touch with me to see if you want to come by and audit the class and join in. And we welcome any sort of feedback and any sort of participation. But be on the lookout for the crowdfunding campaign that we look to launch early January.
Since this ROK is Republic of Korea, I'm just curious, were you granted Korean citizenship when you were born?
The answer is no, because I never had a Korean birth certificate, which is required for citizenship.
Yeah.
So I was born to no country, and the first time I was actually tied to a country is when I was 10 years old, Lawton, Oklahoma, outside of Fort Sill, when I got naturalized.
There you go. I sort of thought so. I wasn't going to ask, but since you said ROK, I figured I'd I would ask. Milton,
I,
thank
I,
you
I
very
love,
much.
I love that you're flexing that PhD of yours, Bruce. I appreciate
It's
it.
nice to dust it off every now and again. Milton, thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you.
I'm Bruce Hurwitz. Thank you for watching. And as always, please keep focused on success.